Looking stylish and fashionable does not have to end just because you're over 45, right? Our guest was frustrated by the lack of stylish clothing for the modern woman whose desires to look great has not changed, even though her body and fashion preferences have. She and her co by launching a curated fashion marketplace because, hey, beauty has no age and gorgeous style can be ageless. Woo! Stay tuned for a fashionlicious conversation on the Startup Life Live show. Let's glow, everyone. Hello and welcome to the Startup Life Live show. I'm your host, Ande Lyons, founder, 4 times founder, and startup champion to founders around the world. And after raising those 4 businesses on my own, I got to tell you, I know exactly what you are crawling through every single day on your founder journey, solving problems, having moments of, oh my gosh, it's a disaster, and other moments of exhilaration. We met milestones. We've created amazing things. It's the founder journey, right? So I am so delighted that you carved up time to tune in and up your founder game, because you know, as you do better, your business will do better, right? A big yoo-hoo. Hi, live viewers. So happy you tuned in today. And a hearty welcome to you replay viewers and my dear podcast listeners. I'm so grateful that you're here tuning in. You will love this conversation. And if you're tuning in from YouTube, please share your subscribe love and click that bell icon to receive an alert. And hey, speaking of alerts, if you want to receive an alert whenever I post a new show, come on over to the Startup Life Live meetup group. We have great posts that will come your way, sharing the wonderful guests we've got coming on all the time. It's very exciting. And that way, there may be a founder that's in your wheelhouse or somebody that you want to learn from. We have investors and experts to help you up your founder game. So join the Startup Life Live meetup group. Love to have you over there, making it easy and breezy for you to get alerts whenever I post a new show. So I'm so excited to share this guest with you today. Oh my gosh, let me pull up the artwork before I start reading her wonderful background. And it's the serial entrepreneur and mentor to startup stars, Janice Ozguc. She is the co-founder of VNV, a curated fashion marketplace that solves for fit, style, and easy discovery for the modern woman whose desires to look great has not changed, even though her body and fashion preferences have. Janice is a proven technology executive and entrepreneur with a strong track record for driving business development, marketing, and sales efforts from startups to Fortune 500 companies. And she mentors entrepreneurial students at Harvard University and has been an Entrepreneurial Fellow for Boston University's Entrepreneurial Program, where she mentors students at all stages of a developing company. Oh my gosh, we're going to learn so much from this fabulous founder. Let's bring her into the room. Welcome to the show, Janice.
Thank you. Welcome. Thank you so much. Good to be here, Ande. Love it. What a great intro.
Hey, listen, I am so excited that you're joining us because not only are you doing something incredibly audacious, right? You
Absolutely.
just launched VNV on 2/2/22. Magic numbers for sure.
Very intentional.
Yes, we love that. But also, you have this incredibly deep experience and lived experience that you're bringing to this recent startup. And so I'm so excited to hear and grab all of your gems. Where are you hailing from today?
I am actually outside of Boston. So we work out of our houses, so which I've been doing for years as an entrepreneur, because as you know, sometimes, especially during COVID, the last thing we want to do is rent an office some way.
Oh, please. It's all about lean startupville, in my opinion. And
Exactly.
anytime you can do things from home or keep the overhead low and have virtual, we've been talking about remote workers for forever, since the early 80s when, rework came out. And so, but it took a pandemic to get people on board and give it credibility, right?
Exactly. But it's a great way, you're home, you can kind of do things. Sometimes I never leave my house, which is bad. It's like during the winter, that's good. But now that the weather's getting nicer, it's like, okay, I have to do something outside today.
That's right. Well,
But
and founders, you know what happens, right? You get so locked into the passion of building your business. Sometimes you look up and you go, what? Dinner time already? How did this
uh,
happen?
yeah, no kidding. Or else I have to eat something now. It's like,
What? Don't make me stop.
right, exactly.
Oh, one of my favorite founders out there. Hello, Anna Maven. She has a phenomenal platform called A Maven's World. Folks, you've got to check out April 28th is her next incredible virtual conversation. And so be sure to go check out A Maven's World. But Anna's saying, love this style for the win at any age. When you look good, you feel good, just go for it. Come on.
I
That's it.
love the comment, Anna, because that's what VNV is all about. When you look good, you feel good. You feel as good on the outside as you do on the inside. And that's what we want our woman to feel, because she is fabulous, and she has to know it and believe it.
Absolutely. And Anna, of course, looks gorgeous every day. She shares her goddessness on her IG feed as well. But Anna, go check out VNV's Instagram, not just their feed, but their stories. Their IG stories are just eye popping, and women just really rocking the look and feel. And hey, Lisa, tuning in to say a big hello to Janice.
Hi, Lisa.
And she says she's and then, oh, she saw Melissa in here. Okay, great. So Melissa has a wonderful platform, Pirouette NYC.
This shirt is a pirouette.
Get out of town.
It is.
Oh my gosh. Well, Melissa is also local to the greater Boston area, folks, but an attorney and a mom. She also said, why not launch a clothing line where you can go from the office right into a cocktail somewhere and after office event. So happy she introduced me to you, to your wonderful co-founder, Rachel, and to your wonderful platform. So before we dive into all the deliciousness about VNV, let's chat about this not being your first rodeo. Okay.
I've had many rodeos.
Yeah. So how does that work? And folks, I just want to remind before we get started, I totally forgot to say this. You founders, amplify your brand. You know, this replay, the podcast, it gets listened to by hundreds, sometimes thousands of other folks. This is a chance to amplify your brand by popping in your business name, your one-liner, and your URL. And I'll share it on the screen. And Janice and I will applaud you for having the courage to launch a business. And if you have any questions along the way, we want to hear them. This is a dialogue that we're having. It's a conversation. Right. So it's important that you share what you're thinking about and what you're looking for and any questions that you have along the way. All right, Janice, please share with us, like, what was that moment when you decided you were ready to be an entrepreneur?
Well, it's kind of funny because as from your bio, you saw I started out at big companies, Fortune 500. Well, it says from startups to Fortune, and I started out at the big ones. And I actually have, a background in engineering, believe it or not. And I started working in.
I know that. I mean, talk a little bit about that, because I know that it's fascinating that you've got this background.
I actually started in the arts, and I've always had a love of creativity and art. Worked at the Boston Museum of Fine Arts and just loved everything around me. And one of my artistic outlets was always fashion. I loved fashion from the time I was a little girl. It was like, I've got to put on something really fun and then go out into the world. And it was like being seen and I always say, if you read my bio, which we have my bio and Rachel's bio, my co-founder, and I wrote about, I was kind of shy, which people can't believe now, but at any rate, in my younger days, I was a little shy, but hey, I would wear something fabulous, and I wasn't shy at all because I was like entering the room and everybody was like, oh, what's she got on? Even when I was like in grammar school, it was it goes way back.
Come on. That is so cool. Of course, I'm still just glowing over the fact that you worked at the Boston's MFA.
Yeah. So, and I really attribute a lot of this stylish and love of fashion to my mom. You know, everything goes back to your parents, right? And so she loved fashion. She used to dress my sister and myself, and we always were like decked. But at any rate, so that goes to my fashion things and the creativity and everything. But you know, life takes strange routes, and I started to actually started being interested or getting interested in art conservation, which is really a science and art
Yeah.
background, and one thing led to the next, and all of a sudden I'm getting an engineering degree, and it's like,
Folks, an MS, like a master's, right, in
yeah,
engineering.
MSAA. So you know, kind of crazy trajectories, but you I don't know, I guess it's partly the engineer or the entrepreneur in me rather than the
Right.
engineer that thinks I can do anything. Oh, okay, I'm
Oh,
going to switch from art to engineering, no problem.
well,
So
you're a problem solver. You wanted to learn, you wanted to get better at some groove. I'll just do this now because I'm gonna need that to move ahead in my life. Oh, I love that,
exactly.
something
So
fierce.
that brought me to years of working in larger companies, living around the world, lived in Paris, lived in Japan, you know, all these kind of great experiences. But at one point, like you say, what made me think kind of like know when I wanted to be or work, you know, have that entrepreneurial mindset, because entrepreneur for me, it really isn't a job, it's a mindset. And it's a mindset that you can solve problems and figure out a way to solve problems. So I was working at these larger companies, and someone who was it was a very early stage startup asked me if I wanted to join them as a in the executive team, and I thought, hey, why not? This looks really interesting, and it was in high tech, it was in semiconductors, and I got in and just moving from some place like the IBM, which is bureaucratic, slow moving, you know, you're one of 300,000 people, to something small where you make a difference every day. This was so exhilarating. It was so fast moving. It was so much fun. And you saw how the company was moving and that you were able to change things and pivot and do things, and I was like, I'm not going back to big companies. This is it. This is where I'm going to live my life, in the entrepreneurial, in the startup world.
It's so
And
exciting when you get exposed to that, right? Because now you, instead of just being over in one little section of a big organization, you're part of, you see how every single spoke adds value to the whole wheels movement, right?
right, and you can change things, and you know, just like, and you've got your hands, you have to have your hands in everything.
Right.
It's just you can't say I'm business development or I'm marketing or I'm engineering or I'm a design. No, you're doing everything. And so that was really exhilarating. You're learning so much. You know,
Right.
early on it was like, oh, we need a press release. Okay, let me Google how do you write a press release? And you write a press release. You do everything. So that was just so much fun. And I thought I'm never going back.
I
So
love that.
you know, it's
Hey, speaking of Melissa, I'm just going to bring up, she has a great comment here, Janice. So excited that Pirouette is part of VNV's launch.
yeah.
And check out what she says here. Can you read that? Okay. Do you want me to read that?
Oh, I love the way Janice styled that Soho silk top. Gorgeous. Yes, it is. It is Melissa's Soho silk top.
And the
And
necklace is
I'm
sold.
sorry.
And the necklace you're wearing is
The
sold on.
necklace is from somebody we have on our site, a fabulous jewelry designer. It's pronounced Tien Wei, but it's spelt very differently. It's Jianhui. He's out of London. He does recycled, repurposed necklaces, very into sustainability. And this necklace, I actually have only something 3 pieces on from it. When you buy it, it's 10 separate strands. So
Wow.
you can wear one strand. This is doubled. You can wear one strand, you can knot it,
Yeah.
and it
We
comes
could
in
go
all
on
different
forever just
colors.
about that.
I'm sorry?
We could go on forever just about the
I know, and
accessories. Oh,
he's a fabulous design. It pairs wonderful with Melissa's top. I just thought, you
right.
gotta have a pop of color always.
Right. So you can find that on VNV, and you can see, folks, you just go to shop V as in Victor, N as in Nancy, V as in Victor.com, and you'll find it there. And Lisa, thank you so much. We're going to cheer you on right now. LASS Wardrobe, VIP Image Consulting and Services. Our mission is big, bold moves for big, bold transformations. We work with many women over 40, and it's lasswardrobe.com for the listeners. Congratulations,
Congrats.
Lisa.
A big shout out to Lisa because we met her and she's fabulous. So
Oh.
if you're one of those women, which we hear from all the time, they would love, when we did our surveys, our women came back and said they like to be stylish. They love being stylish and, and understanding, and they think they are, but they could use help. Everybody, so many people, I think over 60% said they could use help. They could use help and would like to be more stylish. So,
and seriously, and when you go and watch VNV's IG stories and feed, you can tell Lisa, I love that. I love that. I want more of this. I want more of that. Kind of, get your Pinterest board ready for the consultant, and she can add a lot to it as well. And yes, shop VNV. As we say here in Boston, Janice is wicked smart. So good. And yes, Ruth. Folks, say hi to Ruth. She's our community manager here at the Startup Life Live Show. And she's saying, love how the red pops from the black and white. So fashionable. And speaking of a phenomenal founder, Jennifer just launched her wonderful fashion platform called Good Robe. And she's been in the industry forever. So I hope you both connect. And Jennifer, please share Good Robe's information in the comment section so I can bring it up. And thank you, Melissa, is sharing, I don't know how to say it, the jewelry.
Skinway. Thanks, Melissa, so much.
Excellent. And speaking of fashion, Olgi has a heelless shoe company. Okay. I mean, he had to go and live in China for forever to figure all of that out. Amazing local founder here. And he's saying, Janice, love it. Ande, always great seeing you. Always happy when you tune in. Oh my gosh. Thank you. Thank you. All right. So we're going to go back. You've had this lived experiences. So you went to work for a startup. Did you then start your own business?
Yeah, that startup, it was kind of not really short-lived, but from my mind, it was short-lived. I was having so much fun. We would, like I said, making things, making a difference, meeting with all these people. And, it was just a great journey. And after, I don't know, a few years, it was like we got acquired. And normally people would be like, yay, yay, yay. And I was a little bit because I had a stake in the company. And of course, a founder is always like, oh, I wasn't a founder at that point.
But you had a stake in the company. So when they sold, you got the little cash out moment yourself.
Right. So it's kind of like, in one sense, it was like, oh, this is great. But on the other side, it's like, oh no, what am I going to do now? This is so much fun. I've got to do something fun. So, so that's when I started. Actually, with the CEO from the initial company that got bought out, we started more companies, or we started at least the next one, and that was still in tech. I was still we had a mobile app, and it was, again, being an engineer, you think you can do anything. I used to do semiconductors. Am I going to do a mobile app? Sure. We'll figure out how to do that now.
Janice, can we just take a moment? Founders, this is why Janice is so what we call investment friendly. Okay. Investors love to hear that you will figure things out, that you have that curious brain and that determination to solve that problem. Just saying.
And that's really key. And what is great too is that you have a great co-founder. And I never want to diminish that. And I'm sure at some point you'll ask me what's really valuable, but I've done things on my own. I've started companies on my own. And for some reason, I feel like they're never quite as successful, because having a co-founder is just so critical, and having the right one. And I hope Rachel pops in sometime during this call. Yeah, because it's big shout out. I have the best co-founder, brilliant, motivated, just I can't say enough good things about her. So, and what's really interesting is I'm a baby boomer, which is the demographic that our site really addresses, that, we're actually catering to. And my co-founder, Rachel Stevens, is actually a millennial, a little bit late millennial, and the combination just has been so fabulous.
Oh, this is such wonderful news. Folks, you're not going alone. It's, it is so rewarding to share the journey with someone, provided it's like this love relationship. You saw the comment I brought up from from Rachel. You're the best, Janice. And podcast listener, she's got the emoji with the tears strolling down the face, the waterfall tears. That's, that's tremendous, because this is the person who has your back. So the days that you're feeling down, they're there to lift you up. And the days they're feeling down, you're there to lift them up. It's beautiful. And I'm so happy for you two that you came together. How did you and Rachel meet?
Well, this is a funny story too. We all have stories, right? Well, as I mentioned, I was in the startup world, and as you said in my bio, I that I've done many startups. I had the app business, and a few other business. I actually early on had a makeup business, and I've always started something. And after my last startup, kind of, we sold some of the IP. It didn't end quite as much as happily as I wanted to, but all things good or bad, it's great experience. You just have to learn. And then I was like, okay, what do I want to do now? And I was mentoring, as you mentioned, I'm an Entrepreneurial Fellow at Boston University, and I was giving back. I love working with students because they all think they're going to be the next whoever. And you kind of have to go like, okay, come down to the real world and know that 96 to 90, whatever, high 90% of all startups fail. So let's get real here. But so I was giving back to them, then mentoring students at Harvard as well. And I thought, what do I want to do? I really want to start another company. And I didn't have a founder. And I just realized through experience and working with a good friend of mine, Karen Sate, she always says to me, you got to look at why things don't work, which is great. She's a great entrepreneur. And it always came down, I felt like it came down to when I was doing it on my own, I didn't have that support that you talked about, Ande.
That's right.
So I was kind of saying, well, what am I going to do? And one thing I kept on saying is, like, as I get older, as we all get older, we still feel great. We still feel like we want to do something really meaningful and that we're passionate about. And I thought, well, nothing against high tech and semiconductors, but if I don't do semiconductor design, another semiconductor, I'm not going to feel bad. I've given my life there. So I thought, I'm going to do something that I love. And what more than fashion, creativity, fashion?
It's the polar opposite. I'm laughing hysterically over here, folks, because that comment, if I never design another semiconductor, I'll be okay.
Exactly. So I said to him, I have a friend who is the manager of this really adorable, actually, it's a great store near me in Massachusetts. Super talented woman, been in the business for over 20 years, fashionable beyond belief. And I loved the store, but it was a little pricey, but I'd say every so often I can afford something. And one day she said, I said to her, she said to me, it's like, would you ever want to help me on a part-time basis? And I thought, well, this would be a fun thing to do, actually learn from a pro and at a store that I love and get a discount. What better way to go? So I started working very infrequently because I was doing I was working for BU, I'm working for Harvard, I'm trying to come up with another idea of how to do a startup. And my co-founder actually came into the store.
Oh.
So we met in a retail store. And she came in, and it was towards the end of the day. Her mom actually lives close, so she was visiting her mom. And she said to me that she remembered that I had something stylish on. And I finally remembered what it is because she described it. But she said, we started talking about fashion and our interest in fashion. And I was toying with the idea of, well, I knew from where I worked, a lot of the people who shopped at this store were the demographic, the baby boomers, the 45, 50 plus. And they came in because it was a fashionable, very fashionable store. They expected to be styled. So I learned from the best of the best, who's the amazing stylist, who's the manager of the store. And I started learning about all the rules this woman has. I need a dress, but no waist. oh, I don't give me sleeveless. And I'll be like, this woman has got some problems here. Well, how does she ever shop? Where does she find clothes, that really fits her the way she wants them to fit? And I thought, oh God, this is crazy. And so a lot of times it was the neck too. Like
Right,
all these
right.
women, you can do stuff. So I was toying with the idea of maybe making shirts that were high necked. And I was like, well, I'm not a
Mhm.
designer. I got to find a designer, a pattern maker, all this stuff. And when Rachel came in, she's a startup, really brilliant. Again, started at larger companies. She worked at Apple and then moved on to smaller companies and startups. She ran operations at Tate, which is a well-known bakery, and
We love
grew that
Tate.
incredibly. So she has some great experience, great pedigree. She has.
But basically, she had you at hello.
Oh, she had me at
Yeah,
hello. She
that's what
she
I'm
had
thinking.
me. And she talked, and so we ended up, it was the end of the day, we ended up talking in this little store about our vision and our ideas about, she always talks about the intersection of age and fashion
Yeah.
and what's going on there, and that everything's millennial and Gen Zs. And it's like, hello, wake up. This older woman has got the largest amount of disposable income of anyone right now. So she was looking at that. I was looking at fashion, and we kind of, like you say, merged at hello.
It's one of those incredible synergistic moments you could never predict. And sometimes that's why I feel like some companies, businesses, startups have like a soul journey. People are brought together, they have a purpose, and they both are the best founders to grow this business and turn it into a sustainable, profitable business. I want to just say hello quickly to my former co-host of the monthly pitch event we used to have here in Boston, AJ, Andy, Jack. And he's saying, love your story, Janice. It has a lot of parallel with my dad's, who was also an engineer for a semiconductor company called Unitrode back in the 80s. And now he's a fashion designer himself.
Oh my God. Hey, we got to get connected. What fashion tell me, DM me, whatever.
Absolutely. I'll connect you with AJ. Isn't that a great story? And
Yes.
first of all, AJ, watching him show up to every event, every time he was styled with that. Seriously, AJ, you always look amazing. And, the pictures of your dad who's down in Miami or the Southern Florida area with everything he's doing, just such a great story. Thank you for sharing that, AJ. And I wanted to also bring up, Jennifer with the Good Robe. Okay, so she's saying we will be launching the beginning of May, but please go to Good Robe and Company, CO, Good Robe and co.com to sign up to get updates and 15% off your first order. Congratulations. And Lisa, Jennifer's on Facebook watching the show right now. You're on LinkedIn. But
So I'll have
by
to
the
see
way,
that too. I'd love to see it, Jennifer.
so Jennifer, Lisa's like, Jennifer, are you here? So that's so great. Anyway, she said back to you, love Lisa Ann Traffasant. And so there you
Oh,
go. It's a love fest happening here. And then Richard, of course, I agree 100%. Super cool range, semiconductors to apps to clothing. 100%. And Destiny, hi Destiny. She's saying Rachel and Janice are both incredible.
and
And
so is Destiny. She is our amazing person who works, you know, tirelessly on our social media
oh my
along with
gosh, well,
Rachel. And, as I mentioned, we have our hands in everything here. Rachel, CEO, is helping with social media. You love our stories. That's a Rachel and Destiny,
yeah,
push.
Instagram, everybody, you have to go to shop VIENVIE on Instagram. Seriously, if you want some inspiration to feel good as a woman over 45 and know that you can be looking good, whether it's colorful or not,
Exactly.
you will have the opportunity to be styled. So great, so great. All right, so you two got together. How did you come up with the name VNV? I'm always big on branding, and I'm wondering what inspired VNV for you. What
Well,
process did you go through?
it's funny because you can see that our Instagram feed is shop VIENVIE. So
Right.
our naming, sometimes we think we spent way too much time on naming, because we were always talking naming. It's like, okay, we've got to put a stake in the ground. But it started out many discussions, many brainstorming sessions, and one thing that we really both loved was the idea of vim and verve. That this woman is still full of vim and verve. It doesn't matter how old she is. Look at some of the Iris Apfels, the Deborah Rappaport. These women in their 70s and more are still full of vim and verve. So that was what it was started on. And then we thought, well, that's kind of long. It's hard to remember. So then we came up with this idea that they both had a V in them. But at that point, we were like VIE. Both Rachel and I lived in France. And so VIE, meaning, life in French, was like, they're full of life. So we thought, what better way?
Right.
A woman who's full of vim and verve, full of life. It gives the French flair. So we started doing VIE and VIE. And then we got a lot of feedback saying, the easiest things to spell or anything still get pronounced incorrectly,
Right.
and it's not obvious. And at one point, we had to make a decision. Do we get rid of the VIE and VIE and just go V and V? And we just said, let's bite the bullet. That's easy. But the origin is still, when we tell the story, we had it on one of our newsletters about VNV. It still comes to that woman who's got vim and verve, who's full of life.
And see, folks, this is the process you go through with branding, right? You might start off with one name. You might find out it's taken and you can't use it. You start out with another, and you have this nice journey to where you land on something that you can feel really strong. And of course, it's just going to look great. Like that R and the L or the C and the K for Calvin Klein. Yours is going to be V and V.
Right. And it's got the stars because she
Yes.
sparkles.
She sparkles. Yay. Hey, we have a great question from Ande. He's coming back. Janice, since your demo may not be as engaged on TikTok or IG, you'd be surprised, AJ, as others, what's your thought process around leveraging social media marketing for your venture?
Well, that's a great question, because we're always doing, as I mentioned, Destiny and Rachel pros at the IG stories, but we started out early on, before we even had the company launched, because we said, well, we've got to be on social media, of course. And our woman mainly hangs out on Instagram, somewhat on Facebook. She is, believe it or not, she is going towards TikToks and some others, but IG and Facebook probably are the largest ones. So we said, we've got to get up on social media. And so what we thought we would do is, let's show women of this demographic that we think are fabulous and with great fashion.
Right.
So we DM'd, oh my God, so many women on Instagram and asked them if we could repost their images, explained who we are, that we're a startup that's just, that we haven't launched yet, but we're all about, creating an e-commerce site for this demographic, to give them a destination to go to for stylish fashion that fits. And women, the amount of women who said, we share your mission, there's nobody doing this, you're right on. We have, I don't even know the number now, probably close to 200 people who have allowed us to repost.
And
so
that's they were wicked smart to do that, because I'm telling you, and you found really some of the best. And folks, I follow pro-aging women online. These are the women who are like, you're not going to be caged by my age. They are about showing up full of life. As Rebecca says, love, vim, and verve, full of life. Great to hear your story, Janice. It's true. We don't, you've seen the Saturday Night Live skit where the gals come out in their mom jeans. It's like, nobody wants to look like that. But the days of our, skinny, super skinny jeans with the super cut off tops and, all the things that we did with that body, don't always feel comfortable. as we age, and we want to still be looking sensational and current with fashion.
Exactly. In fact, that's what, just to add more to the question about social media. So we now do Instagram stories. We have a newsletter that goes out to people. We also have, we also post, in other places. We're constantly working to enhance our social media presence, and just, we are going to ramp up. We don't have as strong a presence as on Facebook, but we're in the midst of doing that and
Yeah, you're
having
very
people
consistent. And AJ, seriously, the IG feed, but even more so, the stories light my heart and eyes up when I watch, because women from all walks of life and color are in these styled outfits that just, can be very simple, can be wow with the colors, just all different, but they are living who they be, which is still a vibrant, worthy, and delicious woman at
Exactly.
any
And
age.
what we've done too, just to answer, is from this group of women who have agreed, who share our mission, who agreed to say, yes, thank you for asking me. I'm glad you love my feed. We've chosen some of those, and we can't move fast enough. In any startup, you can never move fast enough, but we've started to have some of these women actually wear our clothes now that we're live, and we give the influencers, what they call it, the clothing, and then they wear it and they post and they do stories of themselves and reels. And that has been, as anyone in a startup knows, influencers can really make a difference in your company. We have influencers who, they wear something and then all of a sudden we get orders for it. So that's been a big push of ours, and it's just wonderful.
Yeah, influencers are a terrific way to go. Have you seen Fly by any age or something? They have
Yeah, yes,
they have a
absolutely.
phenomenal, not just
Of
Instagram,
course.
but the TikTok. These women come out and they are snapping. They are like, don't you even think
Yeah,
I'm not
that's
ready to fly.
Instagram is a whole nother world, and they're wonderful. And so, yeah, so we are, social media is a big part, obviously. But another thing I want to mention that came to mind too, Andy, as you were talking, is this woman wants to be seen, she wants to be fashionable. And the other thing that we do on our site, and if you follow us, is we understand that this woman, even though she wouldn't say she's totally trendy, she still follows those trends. But
Yes.
yet she's not going to be like her 25-year-old daughter in those trends. So we do this thing called Decoded. Like, take a trend and we'll show you how you can wear it even though you're 50 years old. And
Excellent.
it's so much fun to say, we know, everybody wants to have something that's current and maybe a
Right.
little bit trendy. And just because we're 50 or 60 or 70 doesn't mean you can't do that, right? And we're all about
Exactly.
letting you know this is how you do it.
This is how you do it. Oh, that's so wonderful. And anybody knows me knows I am totally into accessories and trendy fashion for my body. So there's parts and pieces that you pick out from different locations, but you're doing that at VNV. You're helping folks identify what's their style and then jazzing it up and helping them feel like $1,000,000. Because if you ever saw that Grace and Frankie episode where they tried to get somebody to help them at the cash register checkout, it can sometimes be discouraging as you age that you're not getting the attention. But when you can show up with the lipstick and the jewelry and an outfit, again, that's styled, it can be very simple, right here, like the jean jacket over a really great top with a great necklace, something like that. And you're sitting there going, I feel phenomenal because you're fully expressed
Right. And
on your
and as
body.
you mentioned, Andy, as you get older, there's these bits and bobbles of your body you might not want to show. And then there's others that people say, oh, you have great legs. You got to show those. So
Right.
what VNV has done we know our woman is not a digital native. She isn't 25. She hasn't grown up with this. So we want simplicity, or not simplicity, ease of use is a major thing that we have strived for in our site. Ease of use, easy navigation. This woman can find what she wants. And then we do these fun things where we say, what do you want to camouflage and what do you want to accentuate? Because this woman has those bits that maybe she doesn't want to be seen, but she wants something that doesn't look like she's really hiding it, but just is fashionable and does hide it. Or something that says, okay, I have nice legs. I either want to wear a skinny leg pant or I want to wear a skirt or a dress that shows it off. So we give you that option, and we give you the option to how do you want something that's a fitted outfit or a fitted piece? Do you want something that's classic? Do you want something generous? And so
and colors.
try to really address this woman. And this is just the beginning.
Oh yeah, folks, I'm having an Andelicious moment here. Here's why. VNV, Janice, Rachel, Destiny, the team have created a user experience that will clearly differentiate them from everybody else in the space. You know, there's tons of marketplaces that are curating fashion, right? For all ages. But it's important that when you launch your business, that you find out what your customers love, who they are, of course, and then deliver them some extra wow, an extra bit of deliciousness, an extra user experience that ties into who they be. As Janice said, folks in a certain age category may not be the digital nomads that a 25 or millennial or Z generation might be. That's not to say, let's not go all judgmental. Lots of folks over 50 are rocking the digital world. But still, it's the camouflage. It's the, what do you want to accentuate? How do you want to bring that trend to who you are and how you want to present yourself in the world now that we don't have to wear all the time masks and we can be out in public? So I love that something fierce, and founders who are tuning in, be sure to think about that with your business. What's that extra wow factor that you can create so that you can say, yeah, sure, it's been done before, but not by me and not for you. Thank you, Seth Godin.
Exactly.
So, you know, we always like to talk about how these platforms and businesses are funded on the Startup Life Live show, because everybody's got to come to a way of building their business. And some folks are using non-dilutive capital. Some folks go to crowdfunding, whether equity or regular, to get a boost for their newly launched startup. Others are going traditional and getting some seed money. Some folks actually have family and friends with money. And so they can put some money in. How are you and Rachel funding VNV?
Well, we are very fortunate. Again, I think a lot of it, big kudos to Rachel as the CEO to go out there and do the fundraising, which is always the role of the CEO, unfortunately, right? Fortunately and unfortunately, but we have been funded very generously by friends and family. So we have at least the runway for a little bit to get started and get going and prove ourselves. And that's every day something that we're trying to do. We're trying to add more brands as we speak. We've launched with only 7 brands, but basically we have the runway, and our goal is to try to really make a go of it with the friends and family funding, and then go for institutional investment. And
excellent. And so what you're doing right, and that's so important, congratulations, is that you got your seed money to create the traction that you needed to add the value to your business, so that when you do go out for institutional funding, you're going to keep ownership of your business a lot more than if you had done that when you started out. The other thing I wanted to mention regarding this whole startup stage is that you reached out to folks who were passionate about what you were doing, and you identified the runway. So talk a little bit about runway for some of our founders who are thinking they might understand runway, especially since you're a mentor at Harvard and BU. You know, you've had to talk about this, identifying how much money are you really going to need to grow to where you become very attractive for investors.
Yeah, well, it really comes down to developing a fair, you'll never get it exact, but beginning your business plan, and to understand, what am I going to need to get to the point where I can show an investor, something significant that we not only launched, but these hypotheses. We started out way back when with saying these are hypotheses, but we don't know whether they're true. So we have to develop our business based on our hypotheses. We talked to hundreds of women of this demographic, and based on what they said, we built to the best of our ability, we built our website. But it's just the beginning. So when we say runway, we knew how many people what did we need to hire as far as or even as part-time people to do the work that we need to do. Two people can't do everything. So, we have an amazing group of people working for us. Actually, I want to give a big shout out also to a woman named Chrissy. She's like in the background doing so much amazing work, and there's many more. There's Ashley.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a platform. So you've got your tech people, you've got folks.
Yeah, and the web developer, the person who developed our Shopify site, and we all have our hands in. Rachel does a ton on the site. I do some on the site. We're all got our hands in it. But really, the runway is to figure out through your business planning how much money you need in order to get to that point where we can say we've achieved this, like your next milestone. Like obviously one milestone was the launch of the company. We absolutely needed enough money to get to the launch of the company, but then you don't want to just fall off at that point. You need to have some money extra to start proving it, which is, because every startup, our first, what we called our pilot launch, we have, and we still have only 7 designers, 2 of those being jewelry. But we've been, in the past month, we've been to 4 or 5 fashion trade shows. We've got our lists of all the designers who will be coming on board. We're scheduling our next photo shoot. So anybody who goes to Shop VNV, please don't just go there today and say, gee, I didn't see anything I like. We're bringing on more brands, different styles, different price points. Please come back and visit more often. So we know that we need enough money to be able to learn from our first pilot launch and then change and bring things on it till we get to the point where we see enough traction. Now, in that being said, investors look at our growth on Instagram, our growth of email signups, the amount of people constantly coming to our sites and leading to our sites. And just to answer again, we are doing Instagram, Facebook ads, and we are doing some paid advertising, Google. So
but I brought up the runway just to give everybody, founders tuning in, to be thinking about that. Thinking based on milestones, might be a 3-month, 6-month, but definitely have your 12 to 18-month runway in mind as you're planning your business. And I want to congratulate you and Rachel for doing something that's the hardest part and number one most important thing for every founder, and that's proving that value prop. Huge kudos for you for doing that, because that is how we start. I also wanted to bring up from Rebecca Moore, Decode the Latest Trend. So awesome. Janice, have you heard of 333 Collective? And if not, Rebecca, I'm counting on you to introduce Janice and Rachel to Diana Place.
Yeah, would love it, because I don't know 333 Collective.
Awesome. And then I believe this is Rachel, but Shop VNV says, read our Medium article. We raised $550,000 pre-seed as 2 women with an average age of 50. Hello, everybody. That's breaking the odds right there. Of course, these 2 women have social capital, which happens when you've lived a while. You're able to build up your network of folks. So sometimes it's a little easier to reach out, but that is huge. And I want that URL so I can put it into the notes. So if you could shoot me that, Rachel, that would be wonderful, so I can have it in the show notes. That is so important. And speaking of fab women over 50, the one and only Mia Voss, who is not only a hard hat wearing commercial building inspector, but she's an incredible brand ambassador and the host of my favorite podcast, Shit We Don't Talk About. Nobody talks about the tough topics better than Mia. So be sure to hop on Spotify, iTunes, or wherever you watch or listen to podcasts. I am happy to promote this show all the time because it is amazing. And Mia is amazing. And she's filled with vim and verve as well.
Must be great.
Okay. And Rebecca's adding to your point, entrepreneurs over 50 have higher success. Well,
we got that with me, and we've got an average of 50, so we're really good, in good shape.
So let's talk a little bit about, because you've shared so much great information, how you have built this platform, launching. How long was your build up to launching on 2/2/22? Because that was a hard launch. A lot of folks, are talking soft launches and things like that. How were you in conversation for 12 months, 18 months before you launched? How did that happen? Or did you move faster?
Well, it's pretty, I'm even amazed. So I met Rachel and I met, we're probably a year ago. Rachel can probably write in, maybe not even a year. I think it was April of last year.
Oh, lightning speed, folks, don't compare yourselves.
So we met, and then we did tons of work and survey. Like I mentioned, we reached out, we did survey. We first brought, figured out the idea, Rachel and I, tons of research and digging into this demographic and reading, and we gifted each other books, because you got to read this book, you've got to read this. May 31st, Rachel says. We met on May 31st, not even
2021.
Right.
Oh my gosh.
And we spent a while just digging into this demographic and our ideas and thinking about how we could prove this, then, eventually morphed into doing a survey. I can remember it was in the summer. We had sent out the survey, and getting back the survey that kind of helped us to validate our hypotheses and what we, and it probably from the time we started coming up with the idea of the actual website and the development, we would launch in less than 6 months.
Okay, so first of all, wow. Wow, Rachel and Janice, seriously, that is so hard to do. And I just want to caution other founders tuning in, do not compare. Because these are two experienced founders who came together, they knew what they were going after, and they had the people in their realm, or they knew how to find them. So team acquisition, all those parts and pieces, they had a little bit more experience on. So don't think that you aren't succeeding because you haven't launched that quickly. That said, I just want to again go, yay, Janice and Rachel, that's amazing. Let's bring up.
Just another point for founders to understand is, being founders of other companies or being in the startup world, you realize, don't wait until you're perfect to go out. Get out there, because the best way to learn and pivot and change and improve is to hear from true customers. You can talk to as many people as you want, but once you've got the site up and you're driving people to the site, they will share what they feel about your site, negative, positive. And then as startups, you say, okay, you listen to your customer and you give them what they need. If they say they want a wider breadth of clothing, we'll give you that. And we'll try to give it to you as fast as we can.
Okay, folks, here we go. Our stitch that on a pillow moment. Listen to your customers and then give them what they want. I see it on the pillow right now, on the chair, on the couch. Phenomenal advice, Janice. Hey, AJ's got yet another question. Oh, this is why I loved co-hosting our monthly pitch event with AJ. He just has the best curious mind. Janice, what advice would you give to any emerging designers out there who would like to do business with marketplaces like yours to sell their collections?
To somebody like ours, we would say DM us, email us. You can email us. One thing, as we bring in designers, thing that's really important is a new designer. We actually would love to support emerging designers, because we want to see new things. We do want to have established designers on our site, but we also want to bring fashion that's new and different, that you're not going to find in Macy's and Nordstrom and things like that. That's part of our value proposition. that we have both things. We're looking for more well-known designers, or just, that's a great thing to do too. But the issue with emerging designers is our customer wants to, if she sees something, she's going to want it. So a lot of times with emerging designers, they don't have the inventory, or they don't have, it's just a one-off. So we have talked to hundreds of designers, and when I go to these shows, a lot of them are smaller designers who do made to order, and we have some of those on our site, and we're planning to more on those sites. So really just we're open to it. And I think other sites that I'm not sure how they react to emerging designers, but we're certainly open to it.
I love that. And folks, that's excellent advice again from our phenomenal guest, Janice. For you founders, when you are pitching for a larger store or opportunity, just make sure you've got your inventory nailed, which I know if you're stuck on the supply chain challenges that we have now, it can be a little tough, but be thinking about being able to deliver when they say, oh yes, we'll take X amount, X number. This is
right.
so
Like it's the best problem to have, is that somebody comes and they all want it, and it's like, oh my God, I can't deliver. But we don't frown on something that's made to order. Customers, if they really love something, will wait maybe 14 days. Sometimes not, but we don't shy away from that.
Right.
And
yeah. And so that's excellent advice. And I'm sure eventually you'll have like a form that, someone can fill out and attach that information, answer those questions for you.
Exactly. Like as we get, more advanced. Right now, we're just bringing in designers who we've
You're
found.
still lean and scrappy, and it's wonderful.
Right. Exactly.
Right?
That's the way you got to be.
You got to be in the beginning, keep that overhead low. All right. So how can the Startup Life Live community add wind to your sails, open doors for you? What's your ask today for help?
I think just what we talked about with keeping up with us, follow us, go to shopvnv.com and buy something if you like it. But tell us what you like, what you don't like. We want to hear from you. We also would love it if you start following on Instagram, sign up for our newsletter, give us feedback, and be part of our community. We want to build a community of like-minded women who share our mission. And if you just be a part of us and follow us, don't just look at our site. It is, like we say, it's our pilot launch. Know that every month you'll come and you'll see great things, and just be a part of this. And like I said, if you see something, buy it.
Right. See, that's and that's one of the
could help
best
the
ways.
most.
But show the love online, and all the links to how you can follow VNV and the website, etc., are in the show notes to make it easy breezy. Plus, I just put out their wonderful IG link as well. Okay, you've been at this game, this founder journey, for a while now. When you have felt inadequate or uncertain as a leader, right? And as a founder, how did you shift your mindset? Because you said earlier, mindset is everything. So what helped you? What has helped you stay strong during those moments of doubt and worry?
Well, one, as I mentioned, a good co-founder that you can kind of like bounce things off of, and like, oh my God, I said to Rachel yesterday, is it Monday? I feel like it's Friday, and it's just like, I'm fairly overwhelmed today. And it's like my doubts of like, can I get everything done that needs to get done in order to move the needle to, we just need to move faster and faster. But I think it's kind of getting centered and recognizing that, okay, you can only bite off as much as you can chew, and just let's look at what we can get done today, what we can do, and recognize I've done this before, and I just have to kind of like, don't get out of this headset like I was yesterday. Is like, I'm overwhelmed. I can't. Okay, I feel like I've got a lot on my plate, but step at a time, and I'll do it. And if you feel, a lot of times I think as a founder too, you do feel like, okay, I don't have that skill. I wasn't a digital native. As an engineer, I feel like I can conquer anything. But I'm not like my daughter who just is like in a second grabs my phone. Let me do that, mom. I'm faster than you. But at the same time, you have to realize that if I feel a bit inadequate, that you've got people and you surround yourself with people who are amazing. Like some of the things that Rachel does, I couldn't do. Some of the things
Right.
that Chrissy, as I mentioned, somebody who works for us that couldn't live without, they're just, you realize I can't be everything. And that's okay.
That is the best advice, folks. You know this. It's one of the things I talk about a lot as well. You can't be all those roles. You have to dip into many of them on your founder journey, of course, but go ahead and, outsource, off ramp some of those tasks to those people that you've brought on that are really good. That micromanaging will have you exhausted and wiped out and, have a nervous breakdown before you know it. So you can't do that. That's terrific advice. Hey, you know what I want to do? I want to do a giveaway today.
Okay.
What do you think? I think
Great
I'm going to.
idea.
Yeah. So, folks, it might be it might be Arlen's book. It might be, a discount code at VNV, a little percentage off or something. But I think we need to pull the lever and get ourselves a winner today. How do you feel about that?
I think it's a great idea. I love it. It's in the spirit of VNV for sure.
Absolutely, because we're all winners listening to you and your wonderful story today. But I am going to just pull this up, and we've got a lot of entries today. So shall we? Is it showing up in there? Okay, good. Everybody get ready. I'm going to do the draw. Here we go. Where's it going to land? Boom. Winner.
All right, Ruth.
Ruth works for me, so we're going to pull this thing again. I'm going to draw again.
Okay.
But Ruth, you're amazing. Isn't that fun? We'll get you something. Don't you worry. But she's the community manager here at the Startup Life live show. So that's what happens with the giveaway tool, is that we're all in there. All right, Melissa.
Yay, Melissa.
You are the winner today, Melissa. Let's just go quickly.
Yay!
Melissa. And, Melissa, I know you, so I'll just reach out to you and say, what you want one of my books here on the shelf? You want a little something else? We'll figure it out for you. But we're so happy everybody tuned in and joined us live today. And, want to recognize folks for coming by with a little special something. Here, I'm going to pull up Rebecca's comment because we love to showcase our founders at the Startup Life live show. And I'm going to be on Rebecca's next week on her Founders Test Kitchen. And we're going to have a great time talking about ideas. This is a wonderful opportunity for folks to bounce ideas off each other. Founders, okay, female founders saying, I'm pulling on this thread. What do you think? And getting the advice from other people in the quote circle. So as Rebecca says, built several startups, now guide female founders to monetize their brilliance and make an impact with more ease. And her website is in a nutshell, CEO.com. And it's Rebecca Moore on LinkedIn. Thank you, Rebecca. I'm so excited for that. And finally, thank you for coming on, Janice, and sharing your brilliance. I know you've done phenomenal mentoring work at our local schools here and educational institutions and wherever you go. So I'm so grateful for how you share your mentor wisdom. But also, I am just so darn excited about your platform and all that you and Rachel are creating. And I'm excited to see it unfold and grow and glow in many ways.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me and having us as a representative for VNV, because we really, it's fabulous to be able to share our story.
Oh, it's so exciting. And what's great is that we catch you here. The Startup Life live show loves to catch founders at this stage of the journey, right? Because you're in the trenches. You're making so many wonderful things happen. And we get to cheer you on along the way and then watch you as you start to soar. I mean, there's so many folks who've been on the show that are just like, what? Oh my gosh, look at them now. So thank you. And I'm going to find you so I can give you a hug in person.
Absolutely, absolutely. Because and then hopefully at some point it'll be like, oh, I knew her when.
Exactly. And would you please read this wonderful post here from Shop VNV as a way that this final thoughts for the way that the community can support you?
You have buy something for you or your mom or a friend. Share about our site with friends and family. Let us know anyone who can help us multiply what we're doing. Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Rachel, for adding that because she couldn't say it better. That's what we want to do.
Exactly. And yay, Melissa, you won. So I'll be in touch with you, my friend. Okay, so I'm
Well,
going to pop you into the green room and close out the show now. So thank you again so much, Janice, for coming on,
okay,
sharing your
thank
mission
you.
and vision for VNV. O-
Thanks.
Okay, so oops, and this is what I do. Okay, press the right button, Andy. I am so glad we had this opportunity. Your questions were amazing, and we dove deep into what it's like to launch a business for a very clearly defined target market. And it's online, it's an e commerce business. And so we got a lot of great gems from our guest today. But let me share with you who's coming on next on the Startup Life Live show. And it's this Friday, April 15th at 12 p.m. EST. We're chatting with Ugandan serial and social entrepreneur Ronald Mugaiga about his newest startup, EcoMac Recyclers. And it's a social enterprise developing eco-friendly, durable, and long-lasting building plastic bricks and blocks from post-consumer plastic waste using a chemical-free and energy-saving extrusion technology. Oh my gosh. It's going to be such a great conversation. They're doing remarkable things. So I hope you can join us. And how do you know whenever I post a new show? Because you're a member of the Startup Life Live meetup group. That's right. Hop on over, scan that code on your phone, or click the link in the show notes and come on over and join the Startup Life Live meetup group. That way you'll get an alert whenever I post a new show. You'll be able to read about the founder and maybe connect with them ahead of time and be ready to come in with your great questions. So until we meet again, I'm wishing you a delicious day everywhere you glow. I'm so proud of you for having the courage to get up every day and move your founder journey and your startup forward and to continue up in the game. Oh my gosh, you're amazing. So blowing your kisses from Boston, mwah, filled with love and appreciation. Until next time, have a great week, day, month, and everything.